The morning of Chinedu's wedding was a beautiful lie. Everything looked perfect. The marquee was set up, dripping with expensive imported fabrics. The air vibrated with joyous, pulsating beats from the hired band. Chinedu, magnificent in a rich blue suit, tried to radiate confidence, but beneath the smile, the fear from his dream under the Iroko tree lingered, a cold, dull ache in his thumb. Sarah, dressed like a princess, was beautiful and oblivious to the deep currents of fear swirling around them. She simply saw a beautiful cultural wedding. As the ceremony began, all the bright modern elements of the wedding, the sound system, the imported wine, and the cameras seemed to clash violently with the ancient watching silence of the land. The key moment came, right after the officiant called for the couple to exchange rings. My mother, who was there, said the temperature didn't just drop, it became heavy. A wind arrived, not the usual warm tropical breeze, but a sudden, violent, bone-chilling draft. It didn't just blow the leaves, it roared through the marquee, extinguishing all the oil lamps and candles in one synchronized whoosh. Darkness swallowed the joy, and when the generators sputtered and the lights flickered back on, the sound was one of collective gasp. On the traditional altar, a ceremonial earthen bowl filled with palm wine, a symbol of the life the couple was meant to share, had cracked clean down the middle. The dark wine spilled onto the white cloth, looking exactly like a widening pool of fresh, sticky blood. It wasn't knocked over. It had simply shattered under an impossible pressure. Chinedu saw it and froze. He knew, instinctively, that the physical world was breaking because his covenant was broken. Before anyone could move or speak, a small, piercing cry cut through the noise. It was a young boy, weeping hysterically, pushing through the crowd. "She's gone! Amara! She is dead!" he wailed. "In her hut! The poison! She took the poison!" A profound horror gripped the audience. Amara, the faithful anchor, had kept her oath to the end. "My life ends when I stop waiting for you." Her death, timed precisely to coincide with Chinedu's marriage, was her final, agonizing act of dedication, and, far more dangerously, a fulfillment of her terms of the covenant. The moment Chinedu registered the words, "dead," on his wedding day, he felt it. The throbbing in his thumb, the location of the old blood seal, flared into a blinding white-hot fire that shot up his arm and pierced his heart. He screamed, clutching his chest. The music died. The drumming stopped mid-beat. An unnatural, absolute silence fell over the dozens of guests. Then they heard it. A long, mournful, terrifying wail that wasn't human. It came from the direction of the old primary school, the place where the Iroko tree stood guard. Chinedu stumbled, trying to breathe, his eyes wide with pure, debilitating terror. He looked toward the opening of the marquee, shielding his eyes from an impossible brightness that suddenly emanated from the edge of the compound. He pointed a shaking finger and let out a strangled animal sound. "She's gone! Amada!" No one else saw her, but they felt her presence. A sudden, drastic drop in temperature, a powerful pressure that felt like the weight of 1,000 years pressing down on the roof of the tent. Chinedu saw her clearly, the spectral form of Amara. Translucent, yet terrifyingly present, her white wedding dress was stained with the red, symbolic palm wine, and her face was a terrifying mask of sorrow and vengeful rage. She wasn't looking at Sarah. Her eyes, burning with a cold yellow light, were fixed only on Chinedu. And then she lifted her hand, the hand that bore the spectral wound of the covenant. An unseen violent force slammed into Chinedu's chest. The impact was not just physical, it was soul-shattering. He was lifted off his feet and hurled backward with sickening speed. crashing into the head table. The expensive wedding cake, the symbol of their future life, exploded into white ruin around him. He landed, broken and gasping, under a pile of collapsing chairs. The ghost of Amara had made her first payment demand. The horror had begun. You just witnessed the start of a spiritual war. Chinedu thought he could break a blood covenant and get away with it. He was wrong. What follows is Chinedu's total descent. The relentless dreams, the possessions, the financial ruin, and the terrifying ways Amara's spirit haunted every corner of his life. Believe me, the next chapter is where the true terror begins. Don't miss the conclusion to this warning, the final brutal lesson about the price of betrayal. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. You need to know how Chinedu pays the full price for the oath he broke. Trust me, you do not want to break a promise and find out what happened next the hard way. Subscribe now to hear Chapter 4.